Hi, and welcome to Spirit Sirens. My name is Megan Campbell, and I just love talking about alcohol and helping to educate everybody around me about it as much as possible. Now, today I'm going to be doing a book review of this book that I just read. This is the Distillers Guide to Rum by Ian Smiley, Eric Watson, and Michael Delavante, with contributions from Eric Zandona and Martin Cate. Now, one of those names I recognize. Martin Cate is the author of Smuggler's Cove, which is around here somewhere. Excellent book, very smart dude. But the rest of them are names that I don't particularly know, but conveniently they start right off at the very beginning, introducing everyone and making it very clear that these are absolute professionals, industry professionals, which is a wonderful change of pace because a lot of the books that I see on distilling or cocktails or anything like that are written by people who like to write and think that alcohol is going to make them good money. And they're probably right, because most people don't really vet the authors of their cocktail books. So, Distiller's Guide to Rum is actually, for once, exactly what it sounds like. They are strictly for distillers. It is a literal guide with references, and I mean, one of these, they're literally listing out the different types of yeast, the exact strains that are good for it. So definitely do recommend this book if you're a distiller and you want to make rum. Otherwise, it's going to be a little over your head and, quite frankly, a little unnecessary. But let's just do the full book review. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Physically speaking, it's a hardback. I always get hardcover. If you have read my other book reviews or watched my other book reviews, you know that it's pretty important to me physically what the book feels like, not only for my own, I like to have nice things, but because for me, these are working books. They are not display. They're not something that I just put on my shelf and forget about. This is a working book, so it needs to be able to hold up to a working environment, which in a distillery means a more liquid environment. So physically, it's a good sturdy book. It does have a book jacket, which I hate, but that's sort of a personal thing. Underneath is a very tasteful blue, green, gray sort of cover, gold writing on the side, Distiller's Guide to Rum, nothing on the front, unfortunately, and a sticker on the back that I don't want on there, but I'll take care of that later. The pages are nice and thick. I like that. That means if it gets wet, because it's in a working environment, they're not going to warp too much. There's a couple color pages in here, but most of them are going to be your plain white. Table of contents. They've got the historic and contemporary rum producers. I think, honestly, my only complaint about this book is there's a couple places where they really did sort of breeze over the history of rum. And it's fine because it's not a history of rum book. If you want the history of rum, you should look for other books. This is a guide to distilling rum. But I think it's important that we remember that the history of rum is really intricately tied to the history of slavery. And I think there's a couple places where they sort of breezed over that in a way that they didn't necessarily have to. They also made some sort of generalizations, like right here, they said that rum did not enjoy popularity amongst the cultured, quotes, spirit drinkers since it was probably too sweet in comparison to whiskey and gin. that's not why it didn't gain culture, or it didn't gain popularity among cultured drinkers. It didn't gain popularity because it was a slave's drink. And once slaves started making it and once slaves started drinking it, then it was officially designated as, oh, well, if they like it, it must be trash. So that's the reason it didn't gain popularity, not because it was too sweet for British or European palates. No, it was a class thing. So I think there's a couple ways that they sort of breezed over that, but that's okay. This wasn't the point to this book. This book was literally to tell you about how to make rum and about the rum industry the way it stands right now, which was really refreshing. They did a fantastic job of sort of not sugarcoating it, not bullshitting it. There's a lot of people who think, traditional is the best way, or this is the right way, or this is, the pure way of making rum. And they made it very clear that there's no such thing. They don't have a pure way. There isn't a right way. There's many different ways, many different styles. Some of them are more geographically inclined, I guess. You can sort of generally say what a Jamaican rum might taste like, but there's certainly distilleries in Jamaica that are making rums with a lighter style. There are distilleries in Cuba that are making heavier rums. There are distilleries in the United States that are making whatever the fuck they feel like. So they talked about that, I think, really well, realistically telling you about the distilling industry, which was very refreshing. They also had some advice on, as a distiller, sort of what direction you can go in to sort of spice it up. This is the part by Martin Cate, really cool guy, knows a lot about rum. But they basically talk about the way the industry stands right now. There's so much room for development. There's so much room for innovation. And, you can look at white rums. Everyone knows white rum. Everyone knows silver rums. But mostly they know cheap garbage rum. And that's something that I've seen a lot of at our distillery, is we have a very full-flavored, full-body rum. And people go, oh, it's a silver rum, it probably has nothing to it. Well, that's not the case. It's got a lot of flavor. They're very surprised by it. We have people who go, oh, this is the only silver rum that I would drink. And it's not because, our rum is good, but it's not award-winning. It's not the best in the world. It's because most consumers have not been exposed to high-quality or very flavorful silver rums. They're just not used to it. So there's a lot of opportunity in that department. Black rums. A lot of people walk in and go, oh, how do I get this rum to be as dark as Kraken? What do you guys do? Do you age it to get it that hard or that dark? And that one always makes me laugh a little bit, because the average consumer really does believe that if you leave your rum or your whiskey or whatever spirit in the barrel for long enough, it will get as dark as Kraken is. And I gotta tell you, average consumer out there, if you ever pull anything out of your barrel and it's black, don't drink it. Don't drink that at all. They get that by adding caramel color to it. They do not do that from barrel production. And then the spiced rums, you can use fresh spices, fresh flavors, and create something really unique, very regional. A lot of people are really into that right now. Rum agricole is very popular. If you are fortunate enough to live somewhere where getting fresh sugarcane is an option, then absolutely you should be making your own fresh sugarcane-based rum. Barrel aging, single barrel, single vintage, all of those are elements that the rum industry is sort of latching onto from from the whiskey industry, essentially. Barrel aging and the whole process is sort of blown up in the minds and the hearts of the public, and being able to take all of that enthusiasm for barrel aging and all of the public's newfound understanding of how important it is and how much it helps the spirit is going to be a huge aspect that you can bring to your rums to get people who normally wouldn't drink rum to try it out and to sort of expand their palate. So there's a lot of really great information in here. Once again, I would say it is absolutely for distillers. I mean, I started reading this yesterday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I think I put maybe like 5 hours into reading throughout the whole thing, like notes and everything. I got like 2 pages of notes out of it. I mean, they're literally giving you diagrams, and this is when you put it in, this is when you add more water, this is how much water you should add, this is the heat you should have it on, this is your estimated yield. I mean, it is in depth. It is a true guide to distilling rum, and there was a lot of it that I sort of breezed over. I'm going to read it, but I'm not going to sit here and try to memorize your appropriate percentages, appropriate yields and stuff, because I'm not literally about to distill some rum. When I am planning on distilling rum and am literally about to distill rum, then this is absolutely going to be a resource that I'm going to turn to, that I'm going to pull off the shelf and go, okay, now it's time to write down what I'm buying, what I'm adding, what yeast strains do they recommend, what am I looking for to get out of it, what kind of styles am I going to try to emulate or create or craft. So on that front, it's going to be very, very useful for me as a distiller, for you as a distiller. If you are an average consumer though, and you just like reading about rum, you like talking about rum, this is going to be a little bit more than you really need. I mean, I think it was only like $15, so if you like having things on your shelf, if you like reading stuff like that, go for it. It's a great book, and at the very least, I think it's really important to support good authors like that, and show that you, as a consumer, want your money to go towards someone who actually knows what they're talking about, as opposed to putting your money towards someone who also has books about cheeses and wines and I mean, just ridiculous shit, you know, the kind of people who write top 50 blank and then fill in the book afterwards with whatever they can find. It's a couple steps above plagiarism in some cases with these books. They're not actually giving you any new information. They're essentially saving you the trouble of needing an internet connection, because that's all they did was Google it and put it all into a book for you. That is not the case with The Distiller's Guide to Rum. This is an excellent book, and I would recommend it. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again. And if you have any questions at all, or if there's any videos that you want to see me post, then go ahead and leave a comment and like and subscribe and all of that other stuff that everyone on YouTube needs you to do in order to be successful.